Hello folks, welcome to another episode of Homestead Fabricator. Today I'm going to try to get the very beginnings of the battery system set up. I got this 71-gallon deck box from Menards. It was on sale for like, $65.99 or something like that, or $64.99, something like that. One issue I got when I had putting this together was the lid. It was a little difficult to install, and the directions just showed, okay, this part goes here. It doesn't say, any tips or tricks, but the trick was to put this lid flat as if it was, closed, and then just on the hinges here, get it lined up with these hinge points and just go. Yeah, this whole box, totally toolless. All you do is basically just snap it together. And it's supposed to hold 440 pounds. I'm just shy of that. So you'll see it on camera. Well, no, not 440 pounds, but it's actually holding me. Can't believe it. This might actually hold more than you think. The thing only weighs a couple of pounds anyway. It's just plastic. Yeah, and then it opens up nice. You can get to the batteries in here. I'm going to have to figure out how to put the inverter charger in here for now. And then I may have to do a few cutouts or drill through the end or something to get the cord to come through. So we'll see about that. Now to get the batteries out and get the cables hooked up to the 4 batteries I got, and maybe get the generator fired up and get the batteries charged up. Oh, I swear these things are like 100 pounds a piece. My gosh, those things are freaking heavy. Whew. Whew. That's why you don't want to work with these systems too much. I'm trying to read, let's see. These are 100 or 105 amp hour. Yeah. It doesn't say, but the Batteries Plus and Bulbs website, it does say. So get them into the box and get the cables hooked up. Well, folks, I got the inverter charger hooked up. It's hard to see because the sun's at my back and we got shadows here. I got it wired up in pairs for a 24-volt battery pack. The alarm was running, so that meant it's working at low voltage. The generator fired it up. It doesn't have remote start, which would be nice, automatic. But I'd have to spend a lot more on a generator. It's running. It was running at around a little over 1,000 watts, which is appropriate for this inverter charger. I forget what it is. I think it's 45 amps. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I got a battery monitor. This is just temporary until I can get a permanent building for this stuff. I'm not sure how this is going to show up. Yeah, we got too much light. It's showing input voltage of 123, output hertz is 60, battery voltage 29.8. It was saying it was at 23, so that was low. Work mode, it's charge. No faults now. It's showing full battery, but it isn't. So I just have to wait until it goes off of charge mode to know what it is. This is not the permanent setup for the battery box. This is just temporary until I can get a better situation for it. What this is going to do is power the RV off of the batteries. It could easily go 5-6 hours. If we get a low power fridge or not even use it, these batteries could last, a couple of days. So I'm just gonna give these batteries a good charge and see how long that takes, because I have no idea how long it takes. If it's gonna get up to 30 volts, it was down to 23 point something, it's gonna take a while. This could take, it could take anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to get them fully charged, depending on what they were at before. I just have a remote. This is just a remote, not a battery monitor. What I need is a battery monitor to keep track of the a better one. Actually, this does have better voltage. It just doesn't say how much it uses. So what I need is a monitor that does that, possibly. I'll have to read up more. I'm sure this thing could tell me more. I gotta read the manual. So this will power the RV, and the whole purpose of this is to run the generator for, say, 4 to 5 hours versus 24/7 when you need power for like any CPAP devices and all that. So I gotta find the adapter for the AC outlet so I could plug that in and see how that works, if I did everything right. I know these batteries are wired right. Opposite corners for the cables to the inverter charger. These are all welding cable. Got them wired up in pairs, positive to negative. So yeah, it should work. This whole system, that was like $800 some. Cables, the monitor, the temp sensor, and all that. That was a total of around a little over $1,200. With these batteries, with core charge, you're looking at about almost $2,000 sitting there. It's worth more than that. Beat it right there by a factor of 4. But priority's got to have power, and this will save a ton of fuel, so that generator will not have to run nowhere near as long. If you don't run the microwave, it can easily run, may only have to run that once a day if I don't run the microwave or use the fridge at all. Well, heck, for that matter, you could run these batteries for a couple of days and not have to charge. So it all depends on what your power consumption is, if you're using the fridge or not. So I'm gonna let this sit here for a few hours and report back. The batteries must not have needed much of a charge, so we'll see how this goes. Generator is off. It's powering the RV right now. So just let it sit for a while and see what happens here. Yeah, forgot one little tidbit here. What I did for a power cord to power the inverter charger is, this is the cord that I forgot about ordering, for a generator power cord. So I just hacked the end off of it. Black for hot. I don't know, the green for neutral, or green for ground, and white for neutral. And this is also a 240 capable plug. It depends on if it's, if it's a 3-prong 240 outlet. That's what that cord is rated for. And it's plenty strong to handle the power from that. So that's the last little tidbit on this system. Well, to sum things up with the battery system, so far it's a success. Went into town to do an errand. Oh gosh, I was probably running off the battery for up to an hour at that point by the time I just got back and checked. Battery voltage really didn't go down. It was on the lower side of things, but when I fired up the generator to try a charge cycle, it didn't trip the charge cycle, so the batteries are still good. Yeah, so it's working out pretty good. I had to change the dip switch voltage because it kept screaming low battery when it wasn't. So that's fixed. Everything is working on it, so I figured, did the calculations, if you just run the fridge, it's not an energy efficient one, it's an old one. And a few lights can go at least probably on a, depending on the lights and other odds and ends, you're looking at 8 hours off and up to 4 hours on the generator, and then another 8 and 4 cycle. But if you don't run if you put in a more energy efficient fridge, it's possible with the batteries I have to go as long as 24 hours before needing to charge those batteries. That's how good the new energy efficient 9.9, 7.3 class range of refrigerators are. And the 9.9 would replace 9.8, whichever would replace that one, same size, and use maybe half the energy. So that's the next step in energy conservation, and the whole goal of that makes running off of a generator and battery bank feasible is how little energy you use. It's basically the system I got just off over there is the first step to saving a huge amount of money. You need the batteries and inverter system first. You can always charge off of the generator, and I go with an inverter charger. So you have your charger all wired up into the system so you can easily charge your battery bank with your inverter. And it bypasses the batteries and runs directly off of your AC power source, in this case the generator, when you go to do a charge cycle, so it does not draw off the batteries. That is the really good thing about it. You do not do any harm to your batteries by trying to draw off of them and charge them at the same time. That can kill batteries in a hurry. That's why your cell phone batteries get so hot when you're charging and using them heavily, say watching videos and stuff, or a lot of data transfer. Data transfer both ways really warms up the battery on the cell phone. But for this setup, yeah, you could run the generator in the morning for a few hours. Once the charge cycle is done, you could pretty much just walk away for the day and not have to worry about running the generator at all, or anything to keep the batteries charged. And if you were hooked up, say, to the grid and want to use this as like a backup system, that's another way to hook it up, the inverter charger. You could charge off of the grid power when you need to, if you have a solar system as your primary charging source. That's the best way to go, is if you're connected to the grid anyway, just have it hooked up to your inverter charger as the backup to solar power, and the solar power will be connected to the batteries independently of the inverter charger. So, and if solar power will not charge batteries if they drop below a certain point, so then you have to charge with battery charger, and that's where having an inverter charger is superior to a regular battery charger or inverter system. Once you give it the power, it'll charge, but it'll go into a high powered mode sometimes, so you got to watch it. Otherwise, yeah, no regrets with this system. It's so weird having things powered out here now with no generator running when you want to run the fridge and that, because it's an electric only, not an LP. So other than that, The battery box isn't what I want. I can't fit the inverter charger in there properly the way I want it, so. But that's just a temporary solution until I can get a permanent building or a little shed made for it and have the remote monitor on the other side of the wall and say like the camper or wired up, because there's a really long cord on that the inverter charger remote. That's what it is. It monitors the charge of the batteries, but it doesn't monitor how much power you've used. So that's a different unit altogether. The one part that I can put in there is the battery disconnect switch. It has bigger lugs on. It needs lugs with a bigger hole in them than what the battery cables I have. So, sorry about that. Other than that, everything I got, it's about close to $2,000 with the batteries and inverter charger, and so far it's working out good. In a few weeks I'll be able to give it a much more thorough test, because I'm not staying out here. I just came out here to get the battery system hooked up. So in a few weeks from this video, I'll be filming that test and doing more in-depth, because I know a lot of people want to know more about battery systems, and I'm giving you the information as I learn it. So I'm nowhere near an expert on battery systems, so as you see me go through stuff, I'm kind of learning on the fly. So other than that, got nothing else to report on the battery system until I do a more thorough usage test. So until next time, folks, take care and get out there and build something.